You want the truth? Not the soft version, not the men or simple version. The real psychological breakdown. When a man cheats, the first emotion is rarely guilt. It's adrenaline. It's ego inflation. It's validation. It's, I still got it. That's phase one. But here's what nobody talks about. The drop. After the thrill fades, there's a quiet internal recalculation, and that's where the 57% lives. 57% of his mental energy shifts from excitement to damage control. Did she find out? Can I hide it? Do I minimize? Do I blame? Do I confess? Do I double down? His mind becomes strategic before it becomes remorseful. And if you're strong, if you're calm, if you don't explode, that's when the anxiety spikes, because now he has to sit with it. Cheating fractures a man's self-image, even the arrogant ones, especially the arrogant ones. He has to reconcile, I'm a good man, with, I just betrayed someone who trusted me. That tension creates one of two paths, growth or gaslighting. Some men spiral into defensiveness. Some men rewrite history. Some men project. Some men genuinely break down internally. But here's the brutal truth. The moment he realizes you might actually walk away, that's when the ego crashes. Not because he lost control, but because he lost certainty. And certainty is comfort. When a woman who loved him deeply becomes emotionally distant, that's when the regret becomes real. Not performative, not loud, real. And that's what happens inside his mind. And here's the part that will really shake you. Most men don't process betrayal the same way women do. Women internalize first. Men rationalize first. So while you're replaying every memory, questioning your worth, wondering what you missed, he's building a mental defense case. It didn't mean anything. It was just physical. I was stressed. She came on to me. You were distant. I didn't think you'd ever find out. Notice something? All of that is protection of ego. Because admitting he cheated for validation, admitting he wanted attention, admitting he felt insecure, admitting he liked being desired by someone new, that requires vulnerability. And vulnerability feels like weakness to a man who hasn't matured emotionally. So instead of saying, I was insecure, he says, it just happened. Instead of saying, I was afraid of not being enough, he says, it wasn't serious. Instead of saying, I sabotaged something good, he says, you're overreacting. That's not because he doesn't feel. It's because he doesn't know how to sit with shame. And shame is loud inside the male mind. Not the dramatic kind, the quiet 2 a.m. kind. The kind that whispers, you might have messed up something rare. That whisper gets louder when you stop arguing. It gets louder when you pull back, when you're not begging, when you're not chasing, when you're not trying to prove your value. Because now he's left alone with his thoughts. And men don't fear your anger as much as they fear your indifference. Anger means you still care. Indifference means the attachment might be severing. And when attachment feels threatened, that's when regret shifts from abstract to real. But here's the part you must understand. Regret does not automatically equal growth. Some men regret losing access. Some regret losing comfort. Some regret losing stability. Few regret the character flaw itself. That's the difference between remorse and inconvenience. Remorse says, I need to change. Inconvenience says, I need her back. And your silence is what exposes which one he's operating from. Because the mind after cheating is a battlefield. Ego versus conscience. fear versus pride, love versus self-preservation, and how he responds when you stop reacting, that tells you everything. Not his words, not his promises, not his apologies. His behavior when he realizes you are no longer emotionally guaranteed. That's where the truth lives. And that's the brutally honest look inside his mind. Not his words, not his promises, not his apologies. His behavior when he realizes you are no longer emotionally guaranteed. That's where the truth lives. And that's the brutally honest look inside his mind. And here's what nobody talks about. The mind of a man after cheating doesn't immediately panic. It calculates. At first, it measures damage. How much does she know? How bad is this? Can I smooth this over? Is she emotional or is she done? Because emotionally immature men don't respond to pain first. They respond to risk. And risk isn't, I hurt her. Risk is, am I about to lose her? That's when the nervous system activates. Not when you cry, not when you scream, not when you question, but when you go quiet, when your tone changes, when your energy shifts, when you stop reacting the way you used to. That's when something clicks. Because men are deeply wired to feel security through access. Access to your body, access to your attention, access to your emotional softness. When that access feels threatened, something primal stirs. Not always love, sometimes fear, sometimes possession, sometimes ego. And this is where it gets uncomfortable. A lot of men don't fully grasp the value of what they had until the emotional supply is no longer flowing. You arguing? That's still supply. You explaining? Still supply. You trying to make him understand? Still supply. But indifference? Indifference feels like abandonment. And abandonment hits deeper than guilt. Now the late night thoughts begin. Not dramatic, not poetic, just quiet. What if she actually leaves? What if she moves on? What if she becomes cold to me? What if I can't get her back? Notice something again? It's future-focused, because regret in the male mind often starts as fear of loss, not empathy for pain. Empathy comes later, if it comes at all. And here's the harsh truth. Some men sit in that fear long enough to transform. Others sit in it just long enough to manipulate. That's why silence is such a powerful diagnostic tool. Because when you stop feeding reassurance, stop defending your value, stop proving your worth, his next move reveals his character. Does he self-reflect or does he gaslight? Does he take ownership or does he blame shift? Does he grow or does he scramble? The battlefield isn't just inside his mind, it's inside yours too. Because the hardest part isn't understanding why he cheated. It's deciding what that information means about who he is. And once you see that clearly, you stop asking what he's thinking, and you start asking what you deserve. And that shift, that's where your power comes back.